talking too much,
hey, man.
nigga.
You
You talking too much, bro. Okay, we tell them around. Ain't nobody talk from the side.
But you
Why you
talking
gotta
to me?
talk? Ain't nobody talking from the side. Why you gotta talk?
Well, talk to me.
It don't matter.
Talk to him.
Tell your nigga to be quiet.
Talk to me. Don't
Tell your
talk to
nigga to be
him.
quiet.
Talk to me.
Tell your nigga to be
Talk
quiet.
to me.
Tell your nigga to be
All right,
quiet.
now you talk to me.
Tell your nigga to be
Back to
quiet.
what we were talking about.
Whatever.
Try that body
It
shot
don't matter.
shit.
There seems to be a back and forth with the two welterweights, Errol Spence and Terrence "Bud" Crawford, on Twitter. The problem seemed to arouse when Terrence "Bud" Crawford's trainer, Brian McIntyre, did an interview on FightHype.com where he was quoted as saying he believes that Terrence "Bud" Crawford would dominate Errol Spence. He also said that he doesn't see any improvement or any changes in Errol Spence's style that will pose any problems to the pound-for-pound fighter. I guess Errol Spence didn't like this, so Errol Spence took to Twitter to clown Brian McIntyre over his boxing record. Now, the question is not whether Brian McIntyre has a good boxing record to be a trainer. The real question somebody needs to ask themselves is, Brian McIntyre has that kind of boxing record and still managed to train and produce the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world? So I really wouldn't know what Errol Spence was getting at by going at a man's trainer, because at the end of the day, you don't fight the trainer, you fight his fighter. I guess Errol Spence got upset because Brian McIntyre speaks with his fighter with more confidence than Derrick James. And the two things I noticed between Derrick James and Brian McIntyre, when Brian McIntyre speaks on the situation of Terrence "Bud" Crawford versus Errol Spence, he speaks so in a light of confidence where he believes that Terrence "Bud" Crawford will stop or either knock out Errol Spence. When Derrick James is asked about Terrence Crawford, he almost has a look on his face of disgust, as if, why did you bring that name up to him in the first place? And Derrick James never speaks about Errol Spence in a dominating fashion when it comes to Terrence "Bud" Crawford. He neither says what he's going to do to him inside the ring, how Terrence "Bud" Crawford doesn't stand a chance, or what round or how he's going to stop or beat Terrence "Bud" Crawford. Bomac, on the other hand, always speaks of Terrence "Bud" Crawford in a absolute, where he's absolutely sure of what his fighter can do to Errol Spence. And I think at the end of the day, that irritates somebody like Errol Spence, because like I said, you don't fight the trainer, you fight his fighter. And regardless of what kind of boxing record Bomac has, he still managed to produce one of the best fighters in the world. So how could his boxing record take away from anything that they're doing over there at Team Crawford? At the end of the day, it doesn't. I'm pretty much done with the back and forth between Errol Spence fans and fanatics, and I'm pretty much done with the back and forth between Terrence "Bud" Crawford and Errol Spence. At this point, if people want to speak or show action, they need to be speaking with their pen, because the fight happens when the ink hits the paper, and that's what most fight fans are waiting on. I'm going to be pretty disenchanted if I find out these two will be taking on another opponent before this year is out. Hopefully, we can get this fight made this year. If not, then we're probably leaning into, another year without seeing one of the best fights in the world. And at this point, the stage is set. The only thing people are waiting on is the crowd. And we got the crowd, we got the stage. The only thing we need is the fighters and the contract and the venue. And at the end of the day, we're going to have a beautiful fight. But this right here, the back and forth, although it was entertaining, although it was funny, boxing fans want to know what's going on with the fight at the end of the day. The Twitter spats and the back and forth, you know, it's cute, it's entertaining, but we want to know when this fight is going to get made, because no fight can get made over Twitter. The only thing that should be happening, somebody should be sending somebody a contract, and somebody should be signing that contract along with the other person, and a fight should be made at the end of the day. But like I said, the Twitter stuff is cute, it's entertaining, you know, it's good for content and whatnot. But what'll be even better for content is hearing that this fight is made and it's going to happen sometime this year, because it's something that boxing fans deserve, something that boxing fans have been waiting on. And to be frank and honest, we almost got cheated out this fight altogether, just like the Deontay Wilder-Anthony Joshua fight, due to Eroll Spence car crash and his eye issues. So we're blessed enough to be here right now. Let's seize the opportunity that we do have in front of our face and make this fight happen. There's no need to talk. There's no need to go at trainers. There's no need to go back and forth. The only thing we got to do at the end of the day is sign contract and put ink to paper. And that's pretty much it at the end of the day. And that's my thoughts on this, and I'm out.
Bro, what's wrong with this nigga, bro?
His girlfriend.
Nigga gay now.
My brother, man.
Hey,
Hey, my brother. She said, don't kiss
my brother.
And there's an old saying, it's called those that can, those that can't, train. It's plenty of great trainers who wasn't necessarily great fighters. If you know the history about boxing and the sport and training, you know that to be true. So nobody necessarily has to have a stellar resume themselves to be a good trainer. And it doesn't necessarily mean if you were a good fighter that you're also going to be a good trainer. The two often doesn't match up. So oftentimes people are trained by people who are looked at as being less talented than the people that they train. Just look at Derrick James and Errol Spence. Derrick James would never got to the level that Errol Spence is at right now. So does that mean because Derrick James wasn't that prolific of a fighter himself that he can't produce good champions? Last time I checked, didn't he get like trainer of the decade or something like that? And that's with having a subpar resume and career himself. Just something I just wanted to add out there. I'm out.